Many thanks for choosing us. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Let's start with lawyer for 4 suspects in the death of a young soldier's case, he's accusing the police of wrongful arrest. 6 suspects were yesterday arraigned at the Sharman court. Charges bordering on robbery and dishonestly receiving were leveled against the accused person. Speaking to JoyNews, lawyer for the 4 accused the police, and he says he finds it surprising that the police is still holding suspects that they do not have evidence of crime against. There's more in this report.
2 of the accused persons, Samuel Tete and Abubakar Sadiq, have been slapped with the charges of conspiracy to commit crime, namely robbery, and the charge of robbery itself. They are alleged to have accosted a soldier and attempted to rob him of his mobile phone and backpack. The 4 others, Ibrahim Abdul Rakib, Safiano Musa, Yusuf Mohammed, and Abdul Gafaru, are facing the charge of dishonestly receiving. Ibrahim Abdul Rakib is alleged to have purchased the phone of the deceased at a price of 300 cedis. He subsequently sold the phone to Safiano Musa for 350 cedis. The police say Safiano is being evasive as to the whereabouts of the phone and claims to have sold it to Yusuf Mohammed for 500 cedis and later to Abdul Gafaru Abdul Karim. The police says investigations are ongoing to attempt to recover the phone. All accused persons pleaded not guilty to these charges and were denied bail by the court. This was after they had failed to indicate to the court where exactly they resided at Ashaman. Lawyer for 4 of the accused persons, however, has some concerns about the processes so far.
There is no iota of evidence brought to the court today to even warrant charging my clients with the offense of murder. Not even the robbery that the first and second accused persons were charged. So my client was simply charged for the offense of dishonest receiving, and it's simply because the police or the prosecution is saying that some of the phones believed to be owned by the late Sheriff Imuru were sold to my clients. And this is a situation that any of us can fall victim to, especially if you don't buy phones from the shops. You can be there, they will come and sell any item to you. That is what is landing them in this situation. But let no one take them as murderers. No. Thank you.
You placed an application for bail for them by the court.
Yeah, we knew from the onset that it was going to be a tough one. Remember, this case has so much public interest in it. And so on the first day, it's always difficult.
The case is back in court on 27th March 2023.
Let's get on to other stories. And Ghana could have become a far better state, but for the ills of a winner-take-all system of governance. This is according to Chief Policy Analyst at the Ghana Institute of Public Policy Options, Dr. Charles Rekobrobe. The former VRA boss believes it's high time leaders of the country consider reversing the trend in order to place Ghana where it belongs among its compatriots. He spoke in a yet-to-be-aired interview with Winston Amwa on Upfront.
The focus on what works best for Ghana. So everybody in every meeting and every discussion and every action was what is best for Ghana. Today it pretends to be working for Ghana, but it's seen through a political prism. You know, how does my party get to look good first, and then what looking good does for Ghana is a secondary point. So that's a big difference between then and today. Of course, I must admit, I mean, that was a period of, if you like, the non-democratic rule. So, of course, one needs to look at the issue of freedoms and ability to choose your own leader, etc., etc. But for me as a professional, you know, we never got into any discussions about what politics anybody believes in, and people were actually promoted on merit, not on fidelity.
You heard there Charles Rekobrobe, and today is his birthday. Happy birthday to you. Now, Ernest Entry, a student of Accra Technical University, launched a sachet water selling business wearing a suit. He decided to flip the street selling rules on its head after he realized the traditional way of selling didn't earn him enough to cater for his tuition and accommodation. But with a 15% increment in school fees and skyrocketing accommodation fees, he fears his suit selling water business may not be enough to help him survive the harsh economy. My colleague Mamisi Nyamishe Thompson caught up with him.
At first, I was selling one, I was taking it to one bag, then I added some drink, but now the drink is expensive and it's not moving. So what I did was, I need to take the pure 2.5 bags, because the 2.5 bags, if I sell one bag, I get 4 cedis, 50%. Things is not easy. Things is not easy. Sometimes I will be on campus and my grandma will be like, Kobe, she needs money.
Stop living fake life.
The sight of Ernest wearing a suit in the steamy hot afternoon weather at Kingsway Market excites many traders. They get so excited that they rush to him to buy his chilled water. Within minutes, his water is finished. With many other sachet water vendors around, it is right to assume that the traders prolong their thirst just to buy water from a man in a suit. Ernest carries on his head a pan filled with chilled sachet water. He holds in his left hand a leather bag for his money and a tray in the right. He proudly walks through the market, ready to quench the thirst of his customers.
At first, I was selling one, I was taking it to one bag, then I added some drink, but now the drink is expensive and it's not moving. So what I did was, I need to take the pure 2.5 bags, because the 2.5 bags, if I sell one bag, I get 4 cedis, 50%. So when I sell more, then I decide, then I do what? I save this.
His style of selling is unique. While other sachet water vendors wear ordinary clothes, Ernest is dressed for success. He has successfully branded himself as the suit-wearing iced water vendor. He doesn't only get eyeballs fixed on his suit, he also makes more money.
You're welcome. As I started selling, my highest water I've sold is 28 bags.
In a day?
In a day. I started 10 a.m. and I closed 6:30.
Following the death of his parents, he struggled to put himself through school. He was admitted to Accra Technical University to fulfill his lifelong dream of becoming a building contractor. With no support and a family to care for, he started selling sachet water.
Sometimes the work that we do it online, and you haven't registered, you are not part of the students. So I consult a friend and said, you get 700 for me. So he also gave me 700 and I paid. The second semester, it's left with 1,000 for me to add up before I can continue the second semester. Then, so during the vacation, I started selling the water.
Despite his strategy, he makes marginal profits. It is not enough to take care of his tuition and accommodation fees.
Things is not easy. Things is not easy. Sometimes I will be on campus and my grandma will be like, Kobe, she needs money, she needs money. And what should I do? I need to come to the street and come and sell. And now the school fees has increased. I was thinking as we are moving forward, it will be reducing. Not knowing as we are moving forward, and it's also increasing. So at first I pay around 1,700 and now I'm paying 2,000. It has increased to 2,000. The hostel fee too has increased.
Ernest tries to send monthly stipends to his grandmother and 2 sisters back home in the village of Agunansaba. Despite his unique selling ability, he's unable to send money frequently. Balancing education with hawking water is daunting. Today, he has ditched classes just to make enough money to pay his tuition and accommodation fees.
This semester started, I was thinking of how to pay the fees one and where I will sleep. Because my uncle's place now, I can't always sleep in a car and also come to campus. So I need to do what? Work out, go to class and come to the street and sell. And I need to also pay the school fees, and that has become my headache now.
Ernest Entry says shyness doesn't cure hunger, so he would break his back to put food on his table. But he also has his hand wide open to anyone who would help.
A story filed by Mamie Sinyameche Thompson. Now, close to 200,000 gas cylinders are locked up in a cylinder manufacturing company and the government's flagship policy, the One District, One Factory. The factory located at Ewutu Breku in the Central Region is facing foreign competition that has grounded its operations. Managers of the factory are livid over what they describe as government's inertia towards the growth of local companies. Here are excerpts of our hotline documentary, One District's Some Factories.
The woes of the One District, One Factories are not limited to Casa de Europa and Petersfield and Ray Group Limited. There are dozens of such factories across the country that are in the same state as the ones in the Central Region. Ghana has been importing cylinders for many years. But this huge importation of cylinders should have changed with the establishment of the cylinder manufacturing company located in the Ewutu Breku district.
When we did all the analysis, looking at the benefits that they were giving us, at the end of the day, our cost per unit of the product came even lower than what those who were importing from China were actually getting. So immediately we began our operations and we put our price out. This problem of import substitution, most of the people who were then importing immediately then decided to shift towards us. So at least in our presence immediately killed a problem that this country was actually faced with in the area of cylinder importation.
The patronage of the cylinders was huge, but today the company is out of business. Philip Asifwa is the CEO of the company.
Immediately we began our operations and we put our price out. This problem of import substitution, most of the people who were then importing immediately then decided to shift towards us. So at least in our presence immediately killed a problem that this country was actually faced with in the area of cylinder importation. And so now if you come to our factory, boss, you'll be shocked. We are now getting to almost close to 200,000 cylinders. We cannot send one out because of what these guys are doing. These Chinese, they just came in, took over the market, cut the price down, and probably they are doing this for some time. So they realize that the Ghanaian factories have died down. Once we die down, they will come back. And what that means also is that in the future, 2 years from today, don't be surprised that they will be in charge of cylinder production in this country. And when we are suffering, we are struggling, we are talking about exchange rate challenges, they will pack their dollars and take it away. In times like this, when a Ghanaian from Okanshin has set up almost a $10 billion factory, so that is the challenge we are faced with.
Philip Asifwa paints a gloomy picture about their investments. He said their investments are under a serious threat and government should ensure that Ghanaian businesses are highly protected.
A nation supposed to be there for its people. China developed their country, they blocked everybody and they developed their country. Deliberate policies, protecting themselves and making sure they got to where they are. Now they are rich and they are now hitting us. We cannot continue to talk about level playing field because what they are doing, this is a direct attack on us in our own country. My brother, if you come to the factory, you'll be shocked. You see the cylinders plenty. We can't bring them out. And workers are working. We have to let them go home. This was a factory commissioned by the president just about 2 months ago. We were doing fine until this thing happened. We've written to certain agencies that we were expecting to at least come in, and I was
Now, Nzulenzu, a village on stilts in the Western region, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Aside from 600 people living on the water, tourists also come to experience the village as well as the local alcohol produced in the village. But do you know what is beneath the water? In today's edition of Ghana Man's Features, Kojo Yankson got divers to go deep down the water with a waterproof camera to tell you what is beneath the surface.
Welcome to the town of Benin in the Western region. This is where people come to catch a boat to the famed Nzulezu village on stilts. We're here to do exactly that. Nzulezu is a UNESCO heritage site and has been since the year 2000. The name Nzulezu means water surface in the Nzima language. I've always wanted to know more about the lives of the 600-odd Ghanaians who are permanent residents of this magical place.
So how deep is the water here?
Okay, the lowest is 8 meters and the highest is 15 meters.
15 meters. It gets as deep as 15
yes,
meters.
very deep.
Wow. And what kind of fish do you get?
You have a catfish, mudfish, and tilapia.
Any other wildlife, any other animals?
You have alligator, crocodiles, water snakes, pythons. And the pythons and alligator, they are always in the jungles.
Where the bushes are?
Where the raffia palm are.
But it's still the same water?
They'll still come in this water.
Ah, but the children from the Nzulezu, they are always diving in the water?
Yeah, any animals are scared of human being.
What food do you make with python meat?
Oh, light sweep or groundnut soup and stew. Acheke.
So you have eaten python before?
Python soup with acheke.
Hey! You can't
Papa.
Wow. So you have lived here your whole life?
Yes, I was born here, I school here, I do everything here. All my parents are here.
Yes.
For years, people have been baffled by the inexplicable strength and resilience of the structures in this village. How can so many homes remain upright for decades, standing on nothing but wood and bamboo? How are the pillars not suffering constant water damage? How do 600 people remain dry with millions of gallons of water just inches beneath their mattresses? The more we look around, the more we realize that the real miracle of this place is underneath it.
You know, so many people have been to Nzulezu, and those who haven't still know what you will see here, a village on stilts in the water. But you know, I've been looking at these kids, these talented swimmers, and something occurred to me. One part of Nzulezu we have not seen is what is beneath. So today, I've got my friend here, Fred, who is going to lead us on a tour of the bottom of the village on stilts. Fred, are you ready?
At first, it's hard to see anything. Once you get into the murky spaces beneath the wooden structures, you can hardly see the outline of your own hand in front of your face. But then, suddenly, a ray of sunlight penetrates the thickness of the dark water like a shiny white sword, bouncing off solid surfaces and illuminating them with a soft, warm glow. Now, you can see pools, a whole forest of pools, wood and bamboo, tied in some cases with rope, in other cases standing free, as far as the eye can see, evenly spaced out but unevenly arranged, each one holding up a corner or an edge of a family's house up above the dark surface of the water. It's beautiful in a smoky, haunting way, like chancing upon an underwater cocoa farm years after a flood. It does make you wonder, how long can these wooden and bamboo structures stay underwater without rotting away? I'm sure there's a lot more to see, but one can only stay so long underwater without diving equipment. Time to return to the surface, back to the light.
Welcome back to JoyNews. Next to the rest of our stories. And a family of 27-year-old allegedly killed by the police in Wa are calling on the Interior and Upper West Region ministers to institute an independent committee to look into the matter. Abubakar Saheed was allegedly killed by the police last Wednesday night by the police, sparking protests from family members and friends. According to the family spokesperson Muhammad Tamimu, they are of the firm belief that the police position of tagging the deceased as an armed robber, the reason for which he was allegedly shot dead, and it's not tenable. JoyNews' Upper West Region correspondent Rafiq Salam has more.
Family members of 27-year-old Abubakar Shahid, allegedly killed by police personnel from the anti-robbery unit, are yet to come to terms on what might have been his crime for him to be killed in that gruesome manner. The Dondolo community is now enveloped by grief, tension, and uncontrollable anger directed at the police.
So we want to tell our leaders in Wa and in the whole region that they should wake up, especially our member of parliament, the interior minister, the MCU of Wa. They should call these people to order and let them know that they came here to rule human beings. We are not cowards and we can never be intimidated. Never. We can never be intimidated. They should mark our words. We are not just talking. A lot of people in this community see me talking like this. They are surprised seeing me talking like this. We mean business and we will take actions very soon if the law court or the Ghana Police Service do not come to our aid to fight justice for our brother.
To add to the woes of the family, his senior brother, Isa Isaku, upon hearing the death of Shahid, took ill, leading to his death. Both of them have since been buried under strict Islamic tradition. His aged father is sick, bedridden, and speech slurred. His mother, Zanabu Abu, is visually impaired and says she and the sick husband depends on Shahid for their survival. I am sitting here blind. If I want anything, Shahid is the one I call to do it for me. Now that he is not there, who will do my errands for me? I've been unfairly treated and robbed of good son. Her tear-eyed octogenarian auntie, Barkis Isaku, says she's been having nightmares and running stomach ever since she was informed about the death of her nephew. I was in my room when I heard some loud noise outside and I came out to ask, only to be told of his death. I asked whether it was through car or motor accident. They said no, but that he was killed by the police. My body began to shiver, and ever since I've been running diarrhea. The family swore they will not let sleeping dogs lie until there is justice for Abubakar Shahid. The family, after the 3-day adua attended by Muslim clerics, close family members, friends and sympathizers, held a press conference which they say is to set the record straight in order to delink the deceased from the armed robbery tag labeled on him by the police. Spokesperson for the family, Mohammed Tamim Mukalusa, stated that the deceased last Wednesday late evening left home to visit his friend and teacher at Tembleju, a suburb of Wa, and about 200 meters away from Nasser Jahan Ahmadiyya Teacher Training College. As part of his daily routine to visit and transport his friend and teacher on motorbike to Wa Town, where he had another residence around Dondoli, a suburb of Wa Township.
Upon spotting sight on his motorbike riding towards the direction of the police shot him in the abdomen and lower right arm. When side friend heard the gunshot, he quickly called him on phone to warn him of gunshot he heard around Tembelejo, and that if he is not closer, he should return home until calm is restored to the area.
The family denied the assertion of the police that the deceased was an armed robber and demands apology from them.
We want to categorically state that, contrary to the statement by the police, Shahid is not an armed robber and has never stolen before in his entire lifetime. The masses of the people of the community gathered here to mourn the deceased is a testimony to that fact.
The family further made the following demands that includes the setting up of an independent committee to look into the issue.
The police should also reach out to the family and take steps to find an amicable solution to the matter. 3. His motorbike and mobile phone, which are still in custody of the police, and which motorbike we do see the police anti-robbery unit members riding around town, should immediately be released to the family. 4. The Interior Minister, the IGP, the Regional Minister, the MCE for WA should constitute an independent committee to probe into the matter, and any police officer found culpable should be duly sanctioned.
Reporting for JoyNews, Rafiq Salam, Wa.
It's live on JoyNews. Let's take a break. We'll bring you business shortly.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Powell. Cocoa farmers have retweeted calls for an end to illegal mining, warning that Ghana's cocoa faces rejection from the EU if the trend is not reversed. Now, the EU in December 2022 announced that it would stop the imports of products from countries linked to deforestation. Now, the cocoa farmers are asking government to act. You can hear from a cocoa farmer, also member of Fair Trade Ghana Network, Stephen Aisha.
The fight against galamsey is still there. I've seen that the galamsey is still ongoing, and I think I visited some cocoa communities, and what I've realized is that most of the cocoa farms are being destroyed by the galamseyers, and also most of the children who are supposed to go to schools are also going to the galamsey area to search for the gold and also to undertake some good activities. Yeah, and I think this is what we need to still fight. Other than that, there will be a time all the cocoa farm will be destroyed by the galamsey, and I think government should still take it up and also work on it so that we can improved the cocoa issues we are talking about. Now, these days, the deforestation has become an issue by EU regulations, and if we are not careful, there will be a time, I think the EU can sanction Ghana. So we need to sit up and work on that.
Now, the Bank of Ghana says protection of depositors' funds will remain a major priority. The central bank has released a document outlining measures taken to safeguard the entire financial system. George Jaffe has more in this report.
The Bank of Ghana, in a 13-page document, highlights some work done over the years, all aimed at protecting the banking sector in terms of laws, regulations and structures. This, it believes, are targeted at building a robust banking and financial sectors. The regulator also talks about some stringent criteria when it comes to licensing of commercial banks, measures and acquisition. The Bank of Ghana also talks about how it has tightened supervision to prevent any commercial bank from going down, as well as promoting corporate governance in the country. The regulator maintained that it will continue to effectively regulate and supervise these institutions, all aimed at ensuring the stability of the banking sector. Well, even though the Bank of Ghana may not want to directly link this document to current happenings in US, it is clear that the Bank of Ghana is moving to give some market assurance that Ghana's banking sector remains fairly strong and has what it takes to deal with any threats looking at the current happenings in the US market as a result of the collapse of some two big banks. But for some, is this assurance from the Bank of Ghana enough in terms of giving market confidence, as some players are still worried about the aftershocks of the domestic debt exchange program on the entire banking sector, despite the Bank of Ghana's assurance that it has put in place the required structures to let the industry absorb the expected shocks.
Well, you had George Afi talk about developments in the U.S. where the U.S. Fed has had to move in to shore up banks following the collapse of the Silicon Valley Bank. Now, DataBank Research is concerned that this could cause the city to have a mixed performance this week. Here's more in this report.
Last week, the city continued to strengthen in value against the dollar and the other major foreign currencies on the forex market due to improved foreign exchange liquidity. It gained 1.39% against the US dollar in the retail market. Some analysts believe President Akufo-Addo's statement at the State of the Nation address on Ghana's progress with the International Monetary Fund boosted the outlook of the city. However, the announcement of an emergency lending facility by the U.S. Federal Reserve to shore up U.S. banks' reserves will strengthen the dollar. Nonetheless, the city's performance will be fairly balanced.
And that's it for business. My name is Darryl Kwao. News Desk returns after this break.
Welcome back to JoyNews Desk to the rest of our stories. And the Education Ministry is remodeling technical education to train innovative students to drive the country's industrialization agenda. Sector Minister Dr. Yosei Duchum says the present order has focused on training students for product servicing and maintenance, which stifles economic development. Speaking to heads of technical and vocational education training institutes, the minister tasked them to foster relationships with industry to improve the training of students.
Ghana's technical and vocational training and education is undergoing transformation to meet demands of modern society. Under the fourth industrial revolution, most tasks are expected to be automated, limiting human involvement, hence possible job losses. Education Minister Yosei Duchum says the new phase of the country's technical education is looking at training students to fit the new order.
We have to become more innovative. We've discussed the need for schools to do job fair so that companies can come there and recruit from their schools. So heads of schools are no longer going to sit there to get a phone call from a company. They are the ones who are going to make phone calls to companies to come and recruit from them. So it's a paradigm shift. So the new TVET regime we have is a TVET that combines with STEM. It's a TVET that brings about innovation. It's a TVET that prepare our students for jobs, 21st century jobs, IT fields, and a number of areas where artificial intelligence, our TVET schools are now doing that. So we believe that we are at a position where we can create a TVET system that responds to the needs of our nation, Ghana.
According to the minister, the government has made the necessary investment to ensure the schools achieve set targets. Dr. Osei Educhum maintains the teachers in the field are well trained to discharge their mandate.
And we can send you the pictures, and it will amaze you to see the kind of equipment that are in our TVET schools. You know that our technical universities have better engineering laboratories than our regular universities. And that is the legacy of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Investment has been made. But what I want to see as a potential outcome is when we use these tools to train the students that industry needs, and industry are demanding for more. That is the day that it will gladden my heart to know that TVET is going through transformation.
School principals at the event expressed their readiness to uphold the best standards in TVET. For JoyNews, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
And as I wrap up at JoyNews Desk this morning, my name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjoyonline.com. There's more of the news and update of all the developing stories. See you again at 12.